The email arrived at 7:23 a.m. Subject line: Project reassignment, effective immediately. I was still in my kitchen, coffee halfway to my lips. I set the mug down and opened the message on my phone. Due to client concerns about project continuity and team alignment, we've decided to reassign the Apex digital integration to internal resources. Your contract on this project is terminated effective today. Final invoice should be submitted by end of week. Thank you for your contributions. Sent by the team lead, copied to HR and the client. I read it 3 times. Client concerns, team alignment. I'd been working on the Apex digital integration for 4 months. I'd built the entire technical architecture. I'd managed stakeholder communications. I'd delivered every milestone 2 days early. The client had never raised a single concern. My name is Maya, and I was an independent software contractor for a remote tech consultancy based in Toronto. I'd worked with them for 18 months, 6 projects, 0 complaints. This was my largest contract, worth $140,000 over 6 months. I was 4 months in, $47,000 remaining. I scrolled down to the CC line. The client's CTO was copied. I opened my email and searched for his address. Found our most recent exchange, from 2 days ago. Subject line: Phase 3 architecture, approved. His message: Maya, this is exactly what we needed. Moving forward with implementation next week. Excellent work. I took a screenshot. Then I opened my contract. I'd signed it 5 months ago, 23 pages. I scrolled to section 9.4, Termination Clause. Either party may terminate this agreement with 30 days written notice. Early termination without cause requires payment of 50% of remaining contract value. Today was immediate termination. No notice, no cause provided. I calculated 50% of $47,000, $23,500. I saved the contract, saved the screenshot, saved the termination email. Then I closed my laptop, and I waited. I didn't reply to the email. I opened my project folder instead. 4 months of work. Technical architecture documents, meeting notes, client communications, implementation plans. I'd kept everything organized, every file dated, every decision documented. I created a new folder, Apex Digital, Contract Termination. I started copying files, the original contract, all deliverables, every email from the client, every status update, every approved milestone. By 9 a.m., I had everything organized, chronological, complete. Then I opened LinkedIn. I searched for the team lead's name. His profile showed he'd been with the consultancy for 11 months. Before that, a mid-sized agency in Vancouver. I checked his listed skills: project management, client relations, team leadership. No technical skills, no software architecture, no integration expertise. I took a screenshot. At 10:47 a.m., I received another email from HR. Subject line: Final invoice instructions. Please submit your final invoice for time worked through yesterday. Payment will be processed within 30 days per standard terms. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my contract again. Read section 9.4 3 more times. The termination email had said effective immediately. 0 days notice. No cause provided beyond vague references to client concerns. But the client had approved my work 2 days ago. I drafted an invoice. Line item 1. Completed work through yesterday. $8,200. Line item 2. Early termination fee per section 9.4. $23,500. Total, $31,700. I saved it. Didn't send it. Not yet. At 2:15 p.m., I received a calendar invitation. The sender was the team lead. Meeting title: Apex Digital, Phase 3 Kickoff. Date: tomorrow, 10 a.m. Attendees: the team lead, 3 developers, the client's CTO, the client's technical director. I wasn't invited. I opened the meeting agenda. It was visible in the shared calendar. Topic 3. Technical Architecture Review. Implementation Plan. That was my architecture. My implementation plan. I took a screenshot. Then I checked the architecture documents I'd submitted to the client. Sent 8 days ago. Approved 2 days ago. I opened the document. Checked the file properties. Author: Maya Chen. Created date: 3 months ago. Last modified: 8 days ago. I exported a PDF with the metadata visible. Then I waited. The next day, I didn't attend the meeting I wasn't invited to. I worked on a different project. At 11:34 a.m., I received an email from the Apex Digital client's CTO. It wasn't sent to my work email. It was sent to my personal email, the one on my website. Subject line: Quick question. Maya, hope you're well. I noticed you weren't on this morning's call. Is everything okay with the project? The presentation we saw this morning didn't match the architecture you submitted last week. Want to make sure we're all aligned. I read it twice. Then I replied, Thanks for reaching out. I was removed from the project yesterday morning. I'm no longer working on the Apex integration. You should direct technical questions to the team lead going forward. Neutral. Factual. No emotion. 15 minutes later, the CTO replied, Removed? We weren't notified of any team changes. You've been our primary technical contact for 4 months. Can you clarify what happened? I thought carefully before responding. I received notice yesterday that my contract was terminated effective immediately. The email cited client concerns about project continuity and team alignment. I assumed you'd been consulted. Send. 20 minutes passed. Then, we were not consulted. We didn't raise any concerns. In fact, we specifically approved your Phase 3 architecture on Monday. I need to look into this. I didn't reply to that one. At 4:52 p.m., I received a call from the consultancy's operations director, Toronto area code. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Hi Maya, this is Patricia from operations. I'm hoping we can connect about the Apex project transition. There seems to be some confusion with the client. Please call me back when you have a chance. I didn't call back. Instead, I opened my contact list. Found the name of a contract attorney I'd worked with 2 years ago. Employment law specialist. I sent an email. Hi Jennifer, I hope you're well. I have a contract dispute situation and would appreciate your review. Are you available for a consultation this week? She replied within an hour. Of course. Tomorrow at 2 p.m.? I confirmed. The next afternoon, I met with Jennifer over video call. I walked her through everything. The contract, the termination email, the timeline, the client's approval 2 days before termination, the lack of notice, the lack of cause. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she asked one question. Do you have documentation of the client's approval after the alleged concerns were raised? I shared my screen, showed her the email from the client's CTO, dated 2 days before my termination. This is exactly what we needed. Excellent work. She nodded slowly. And the termination cited client concerns as the reason? Yes, but provided no specifics. She pulled up my contract, read section 9.4. This is clear. Early termination without cause requires 50% of remaining contract value. They terminated you immediately with no notice and no documented cause. Even if they claim cause, they need to document it. Did they? No. The email just said client concerns. But the client says they weren't consulted and didn't raise concerns. Do you have that in writing? I showed her the email exchange with the CTO. She sat back. Maya, this is a straightforward breach of contract. They owe you the termination fee at minimum. What's the process? I'll draft a formal demand letter. We'll send it to their legal department. Give them 10 business days to respond. If they don't pay or negotiate in good faith, we file a claim. How long does that take? If they settle quickly, a few weeks. If it goes to court, several months. But most companies settle contract disputes like this. It's cheaper than litigation. What do you need from me? Everything you just showed me. The contract, the termination email, the client communications. Documentation of your work and their breach. I sent her everything that afternoon. 2 days later, Jennifer sent me the draft demand letter. 3 pages. Professional, direct, no emotion. It outlined the contract terms, documented the breach, calculated the amount owed, $23,500 in termination fees, plus $8,200 for final completed work. Total, $31,700. It requested payment within 10 business days. It noted that failure to comply would result in legal action, including claims for additional damages and attorney fees. I approved it. Jennifer sent it the next morning. Certified mail to the consultancy's legal department. Email to their registered agent. Then I waited. 3 days passed. On day 4, I received an email from the consultancy's CEO. I'd never communicated with him directly before. Subject line, discussion request. Maya, I understand there's been a dispute regarding your contract termination. I'd like to discuss this directly rather than through attorneys. Are you available for a call this week? I forwarded the email to Jennifer. She replied, "Don't respond yet. Let me handle this." 20 minutes later, she sent a response on my behalf. All communications regarding this matter should be directed to my attorney, Jennifer Walsh. She included her contact information. The CEO replied to Jennifer within an hour. We'd like to resolve this amicably. Can we schedule a call to discuss? Jennifer replied, I'm available tomorrow at 3 p.m. The next day, Jennifer called me at 2:45 p.m. I just finished the call with their CEO and their attorney. They're claiming the termination was for cause, based on client feedback. I asked them to provide documentation of that feedback. They couldn't. What did they say? They said it was verbal feedback from a call. I asked who was on the call. They said the team lead and one of their project managers. I asked if the client was on the call. They said no. So they have no documentation of client concerns. Correct. And the client has explicitly stated they didn't raise concerns. Their attorney knows this is a losing position. What did they offer? They want to settle for the outstanding invoice amount, $8,200. No termination fee. That's not acceptable. I told them that. I said we'd proceed with filing a claim if they don't honor the contract terms. How did they respond? They asked for 48 hours to review internally. Okay. Maya, I think they'll settle. Their attorney knows they breached the contract. The question is whether they'll pay the full amount or try to negotiate down. I want the full amount. That's what the contract says. Understood. I'll hold firm. 46 hours later, Jennifer called again. They've agreed to pay the termination fee, $23,500, plus the outstanding $8,200. Total, $31,700. They want a mutual release and non-disparagement clause. What does that mean? You agree not to pursue further claims. You both agree not to make negative public statements about each other. I don't have any interest in making public statements. Then it's not a concession. I'll review the settlement agreement when they send it. The agreement arrived the next day. Jennifer reviewed it, made 3 minor revisions, sent it back. They accepted the revisions. I signed it electronically. Payment arrived 5 business days later. Wire transfer. $31,700. I sent Jennifer her fee, $4,500. I kept the rest. 2 weeks after that, I received a LinkedIn message from the Apex Digital client's CTO. Maya, I wanted to let you know we've ended our engagement with the consultancy. The team lead couldn't deliver what you'd designed. We're looking for a new contractor to complete the integration. Are you available? I read it twice. Then I replied, I appreciate you thinking of me. I have capacity for new projects. Let's schedule a call to discuss scope and timing. We spoke the next day. They wanted me to complete the integration I'd designed. 6 months of work, $180,000. I sent them a contract. They signed it within 24 hours. I started work the following Monday. 3 months into the new contract, I received an email from someone I didn't recognize. The subject line said, "Former colleague." I opened it. Hi, Maya. My name is Rachel. I was a contractor with the same consultancy you worked with. I was recently terminated under similar circumstances to yours. A mutual contact mentioned you'd successfully challenged your termination. I'm wondering if you'd be willing to share your attorney's contact information. I replied with Jennifer's name and email. Then I added, make sure you have your contract and all documentation of your work. That's what matters. She replied, thank you, I do. 6 months later, the Apex Digital integration went live. The client CTO sent me a message. Flawless implementation, exactly what we needed. Thank you for seeing this through. I replied, happy to help. That evening, I was organizing my files. I found the folder labeled Apex Digital Contract Termination. I opened it. The termination email, the contract, the client approvals, the demand letter, the settlement agreement. Everything was still there, organized, complete. I thought about deleting it. I didn't need it anymore. But I kept it. Not as a trophy, not as proof of victory, just as a reminder that contracts mean something, and that silence, when combined with documentation, can be louder than any argument. I closed the folder. Then I opened my current project files and got back to work. The work continued. Different client, same principles. Not revenge, not vindication, just what I'd earned, what the contract guaranteed. Because in the end, the words on the page mattered more than the words in the email. And patience always outlasted arrogance.